Okay, so before I was rudely interrupted by my battery dying, I was talking about the apple trees, and I was mentioning that typically they come in packs of 2. There is some that come in packs of 3, but they're a little less appealing to the eye. Now I see some real immediate pluses to this tree. I really like, pick that up. I really like how it's gonna be hard to see. The base of the tree has this sort of more gnarled looking roots, and that's something that typically you'll see in a lot of apple trees, and it's nice to have those kind of exposed as opposed to other trees that typically cover the base entirely. I do like to have that exposed on the apple tree. You'll notice certainly the apples are quite predominant. They're a little out of scale for what I'm going to be using. These are more closely resemblant of their head, but who knows, they're giant apples. The good benefit is that Woodland Scenics sells a product that's exactly the same size that is apples, and you can sort of sprinkle those around on the ground as opposed to shaking off your tree. So it is nice to have those sprinkled sort of around the outside. The tree itself, again, a good test of a good tree is, can it stand up on its own? They're a little touch shaky, but that's more because the base has that uneven look at the bottom as opposed to the round circular base. So certainly they stand up. They got a nice footprint. They're really nice and bushy shaped, and they're a little more short in stature as opposed to most of the apple trees that I get. So certainly they're going to be out of scale. In Flames of War, which is typically what I'm building for, it's very hard to get trees in scale, and you really have a low skyline on your board if you use trees that are at scale. Not to mention it's very hard to get minis underneath the trees. But if you get trees that are a little tall in stature, a little higher up, you got room to maneuver in and around without having to constantly pull trees. So one of the annoying factors of any game is having to move your scenery every time you want to place minis on the scenery. Really, I don't get the point of that. You need to make your scenery workable with your minis as opposed to a hindrance to them. So that's really content for another video. This is unboxing, so don't let me get on a rant about that. But there is 6 of these. They will be going on the board as well. So starting to run out of room here. Keep it a little space so you guys can see what's exactly going on. What's left in the box? Well, starting to run out of product in here. It appears I ordered some more sand. This stuff here is my shade up. I don't know if you can pick that up on camera, but one is actually slightly lighter shade than the other. This one here is called Fine Natural Soil and Dirt, and then this is your medium natural soil and dirt. And because this one has a little more grit, a little larger stone in it, it's actually a little bit lighter in color. Like I said, this is more of a clay, a really thick, fine sand, and then this one here has got a little more rock, a little more grit. So this will actually go down as the base coat. This will be the top coat, where sort of the more rough and undisturbed sort of sand. This stuff here will be down on the beach front, you know, where the wake comes in and kind of washes and smooths the sand down as well. So it's okay. That's a little darker color because I mean typically it's going to be water soaked, a little more saturated than the light sun-baked sand that's up on the beach. So interested. We'll see how they work for me. And finally, I don't know where I would be without this stuff here. So here is my pile of blue table painting, you think? Not very good. It's not even close to the ceiling, but you know what? That's alright. It's a good stack anyways. Here is my Sulfur Tufts. Now, what I started doing with Sulfur is they do sell the larger packs. I think they're like $25. But then they also started coming out with these Sulfurettes, which are small, basically almost like a sample pack of their products. And I basically have everything in the Sulfur range. You name it, I have it. Now, what I found is that I'll buy a large pack, a double-sided sleeve, and I'll use one more than another. and I kind of, you know, get pigeonholed and lose the variety that I really should be achieving with this great stuff. So what I've been doing typically is buying the sulfur pack, the sulfurettes, and then I'll kind of use one in an area or use it in a few areas, and then I'll run out. And then it kind of almost forces me, okay, now it's time to switch up and go to variations of other ones. So I'm going to take a few minutes of your time. This is a really long video, but I'll split it in a couple, and if you don't want to watch it, skip ahead to the end or go check out another video, I guess. So here's the really cool stuff. This is what you put down in the crop rows. And if you haven't seen this product, it's wicked. Looks like a wriggly worm. It's basically done on its backing is basically a piece of thread, which works really well because what you can do is you can slot the crop rows, and this can fit right down into the slot. And you can cut and mold and bend, so you can have crop rows that aren't necessarily straight. And you're probably not going to be making rows that are too long. I don't know how long this is. I'm going to guess about 8 inches. I think that's actually what it is. 8 inches. So you can cut this and certainly have 2 4-inch crop rows. Now you get 1, 2, 3. That is it. I think it cost you about $6. So $2 a strip. And now people are out there, I can get so much more for $6, and you can get so much less for $6 too. So certainly you could do a small, cut that in half. You got 6 4-inch rows. You're probably going to space this out every ½ inch. So if you space that out and you got 6, I mean, you're doing about a little 4x6 area. An area about that big for about $6. Now, this is going to be a high detailed area. Certainly you wouldn't do all your crop rows like that, but it looks fantastic, I'll tell you. It looks a lot better than anything that you're probably going to do just using a basic flock, or certainly a static grass, or even a clump foliage. So I like it. It's awesome. I use them all the time. So let me just get all those out of the way. That is called soybeans. Okay, that's soybeans. Another crop row that you can do, same backing material, same amount. Actually, sorry, in the alfalfa you get 4 8-inch strips. This is a little harder to see. It's not as thick. It's more like static grass that's sort of splayed out to both sides. And this is your alfalfa sprouts. Looks really awesome when you look down the strip like that. When you look across, really thin. When you look down, you can see the thickness of it. So you get a bunch of these. I would not space this out every other row. This is something that you want to keep row by row by row. So you have a little more to work with, and you're probably going to end up with a slightly, an area slightly smaller, but it's a little more dense looking when you do go row by row. So this is really cool. That's alfalfa. And the beauty of this stuff, it comes in so many shades. This is actually alfalfa late summer. Okay, you can get alfalfa fall, alfalfa, I think there's spring. This soybean one that I showed you was actually spring. So your springs are going to be your lighter greens. Your late summers are going to be your more olive colors. Your winters are going to be your more yellow or wheat color. And then your summer ones are going to be kind of your medium greens, if you want to liken it to that. So here I have soybean summer. So that one there is your medium green. Here I have alfalfa summer, so this is your medium green. Here I have alfalfa spring, so the real light green color. Here I have soybean late summer. The ironic thing is I actually don't